Namaste, koutou. Ngā mihi nui, kia koutou katoa. Thank you for being here present. This is a biggie for you guys. There's a lot in this bill, and there's a lot for you to be considering. And I acknowledge the effort that's going to go into you doing a report on this one. I will take my online objection to this proposed legislation as read. I would like to use this time to speak to a couple of things, mostly to the removal of Section 50 from this egregious bill. As a mother and a godmother, and as a woman, I wholeheartedly object to the inclusion of Section 50 and strenuously object to legislating for medical mandates. The fact that that's been included in this bill, you'll be aware that most of your submissions are relating to the food and the gene technology, and you'll see, if you're able to have time to read the full explanation of my online submission rather than the summation, you'll see that I've made numerous points in relation to the deregulation of gene technology that's proposed in this bill. But rather than focusing on speaking to that, I'm wanting to speak to Section 50 and the other clauses that relate to it, and advise you that that section of proposed legislation has no place in law in any country in the world at the moment, and certainly not here in New Zealand. It has no place in this bill, and it should be scrapped. If the amount of nationwide support that came out lined roads and bridges the length of both islands of this country against the COVID injection mandates, if that's something to go by and to take in, I think you should take that into account.
I'll just jump in there, Tracey. It doesn't mandate that people have to have treatments, and we've had a lot of emails in from people thinking that it was. It was more so where there's 2 overseas jurisdictions have approved something, then it's approved for use in New Zealand.
I think you're being naive if you think that putting that into law in New Zealand is not going to give the ability for that to be utilised.
That's the feedback that we've had from officials.
There's a very good, you may have had that feedback, but there's a very good reason, and really, honestly, gravely concerning reasons why the Public Health Response Amendment Act, that was repealed last November, if my information is correct, and now that's been ducked into this bill. I'm wanting to say to you that I suggest that even more New Zealanders are opposed now to mandates for experimental medical treatments than ever before. And my challenge to you as the subcommittee, and I appreciate it's good seeing Mr. Huffendale that you're chair of one, I've been given, I think it's because of the content in my online objection relating to the gene technology, and I did mention that I had great concerns about Section 50 as well, but I think that's why I've been given the opportunity to be able to speak to my submission. But rather than going into my concerns about the removal of the precautionary principle and the issues with traceability and the labelling, because lots of people are covering that, I'm really wanting to, it's really to give you a challenge to take back to the Full Health Select Committee, and because you have a report due in June, mid-June, and I think you need to be clear about the content of the submissions that are made nationally. So, I'm really, it's a personal challenge for me that you have staff to help you with this. Make a summation. You've got approximately 15,000 submissions that have been made, and a lot of those are going to be covering particular points. They haven't gone over lots of points like lots of us have chosen to do, but some people have made very valid points just on one particular. If you look, it's not probably appropriate for me to say names, but if you look at the detail that's in some of the submissions around Section 50, the actual definitions, they're not even well written in the bill. Like, it's just ridiculous, really, some of what's written there. It's like reference this section, and then you look at it, and there's actually no definition for that. So I really urge you to have a look at it.
No, thank you. We're running very close to time here, but
yeah.
we will be doing that. We will be summating, making a summary of all of the input that we have from submitters.
Yeah, so my start time was at 1:45, so you had me start earlier because you had extra time?
Yes.
So may I just finish my summation?
It's a 5-minute submission.
Yeah, may I finish my summation?
It's a 5-minute piece, and that's where we have to keep it to.
Okay, well, I've made my point. Really, I was just going back over them.
We do have it all in writing as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And I do hear you about medical mandates as well. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Section 50. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's nothing up there.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not anti-vax, so any thoughts about that submission?
I'm pro-choice, so let people decide what they want injected in their bodies, whatever. You can't, yeah.
I have to say, I've also, as she said, I've been one of those who have focused on environmental aspects of the bill rather than the medical aspects of the bill. Mm-hmm. So it's possible that I haven't fully appreciated all the things that submitter took into account and brought forward. But my rationale was that first, the environmental side is something that is very much in my wheelhouse, whereas the medical side is less so. And I am in some ways comforted by the idea that when it comes to the development of medical tools, there are so many other pieces of legislation that cover that. This would not be the only relevant piece of legislation, and it wouldn't override those other pieces of legislation. Mm-hmm. So I don't think, at least you would, from this bill, have the ability to argue that you could play around with COVID 2026 outside of a containment facility. That would be my that's at least the assumption I work under.
Yeah, I mean, it's not vaccines are a different kettle of fish. It's not like with organisms like bacteria. We're just throwing them out in the wild, and it's like vaccines are pretty well controlled for. And I got to be careful with my language because I've got an older sister that worked in immunology. She's probably going to hit me over the head and say you're an idiot. But, shout out to her. But yeah, I mean,
certainly the last few years have caused a lot of disruption and fear in communities, and unnecessarily, I think, and divided a lot of people. And there was no point to it in a lot of respects, you know. Yeah.
as in, like the lockdowns or the vaccine mandate, or
the debate sort of, because it had to happen online, and then there were a lot of restrictions to what could be said online. People couldn't really discuss things in a reasonable manner because things would be shut down. And so we didn't really fully get to explore it. And so that has created a lot of paranoia in some communities. And it's quite hard to then turn around and redress it and sort of tamp that down. And so as soon as people see the word mandate or anything, they're going to panic.
Yep.
And it's quite hard, and it's a consequence of government overreach in some respects, or social media overreach, I guess, where we've sort of created a tribal thing and people weren't able to speak freely, and it became sort of a us versus them debate, which is really hard to deal with.
I think many submitters have made the point that there wasn't enough consultation. And after we've had such obvious polarization in society over the use of technologies that involve the very kinds of molecules that we're talking about with genome editing, that you wouldn't want to push this in such a cavalier way. No matter what you think about the appropriateness of the developments in medicine or of the history of COVID worldwide and in New Zealand, no matter what you think about that, we should at least have some sensitivity to the idea that this was the opportunity to step back and really talk to people before you tried to push a bill like this down their throats.
I think that's a good place to end this submission. Let's go into the next.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, News Guide, the Order Paper Podcast.